Attention everyone, this is not a drill. We have a code PDF666, or in other words, an internet troll seeking attention and validation, and doing so in the most conspicuous manner imaginable. But far be it from me to deny this little guy safe passage back to his vomit. So in honor of this other troll who thinks my cartoon avatar is pretentious, let's get this show on the road.
Now he says there is no true unity in your metaphysically composite anthropomorphic deity. First of all, funny enough, there are EOs who believe that God was wrestling Jacob, and that what Jacob was physically wrestling was uncreated.
This is a tu quo que fallacy, and it's completely irrelevant to the point at hand. My video was about your athery doctrine. Eastern Orthodox theology is a completely separate matter, and no amount of red herrings will change that.
Second, the same book he quotes in this video by Harry Wolfson, not Henry Wolfson.
Just to clear the air to my fellow Christians, I admit that I made a typo in my previous video. When I quoted Wolfson's book, The Philosophy of the Kalam, I wrote Henry instead of Harry. Yes, truly an irredeemable offense to be sure. Let us contemplate the inexpressibility of my folly with a moment of silence. Welcome back, but in all seriousness, it really was an honest mistake on my part, and I hope you can all forgive me. But of course, these trolls use honest human errors like this and blow them out of proportion. For example,
First of all, get the name right. It's not Henry, it's Harry. So clearly you didn't open the book and read it. Not saying I did.
this is nothing but empty rhetoric and a logical leap. Just because I accidentally misspelled the author's first name does not mean that I didn't open the book and read it. That doesn't follow at all. Let's dispense with this petty nonsense and actually move on to something more substantive.
Says, but with regard to the unity of God and the sense of its absolute simplicity, it became a matter of controversy in its sectarian differences over the doctrine of the Trinity. This is correct, but he then says Orthodox Christianity rejecting it, heretical Christianity accepting it, and a verbal difference of opinion appeared in Orthodox Christianity also over the propriety of applying to God the term corporeal. One of them, Tertullian, argued that God could be described as corporeal, with the understanding that his corporeality was unlike the corporeality of bodies. So here we see that this idea of true unity, which is just saying that there is some identity relation between the properties and the essence, is considered heretical, yet this guy is supposed to be an Orthodox Christian. The Catholics literally argue that you worship a composite god, dude.
Who cares what the Catholics say to the Orthodox regarding this matter? Again, completely irrelevant. And you might want to look a little bit closer. Wolfson says that what was rejected by Orthodox Christianity is not divine simplicity itself, but rather the notion of absolute simplicity, specifically that of Philo of Alexandria, because that's the paradigmatic framework to which Wolfson is contrasting Orthodox Christianity. Philo's notion of absolute simplicity precludes any kind of meaningful internal plurality. His God was an undifferentiated monadic unity. Orthodoxy would obviously reject this because we believe in three divine persons who mutually partake of a common divine essence. So Philo's understanding of absolute simplicity would be rejected by both the Orthodox and the Catholics, who you ignorantly tried to pit against us. Both Rome and the East trace their origins back to Pentecost, and were technically the same church for the first 1,000 years. So the appellation Orthodox Christianity would include them as well. Eastern Orthodox theology gladly and unapologetically accepts regular divine simplicity, as you can see from all these quotes. And lastly, Tertullian is neither a church father nor an officially recognized saint. His personal metaphysical opinions are his and his alone. That's not to say that literally everything he says is wrong, but he's not an authority for us because of certain theological errors he made, as well as the fact that he left the church to join a heretical cult. So the fact that Wolfson cites him here means literally nothing for your case, which has been completely irrelevant thus far. Modern scholarship has concluded that Ibn Hanbal, one of your guys, was an anthropomorphist who affirmed a humanoid form for Allah, which included a face, eyes, curly hair, a mouth, elbows, arms, hands with palms, legs, feet, and even, shockingly, loins. You have
Modern scholarship, quote unquote. He didn't even bother to take a look at even who Wesley Williams is. His name is Dr. Wesley Muhammad. This is him. And here's where you can find his academia.edu page. So either he's dishonest and he's quoting some random Nation of Islam guy who has no idea what he's even talking about.
This is a textbook example of the genetic fallacy, wherein something is accepted, or in this case, dismissed, on account of its origins rather than its content. Unlike you, Dr. Wesley Williams earned his PhD, and his research has been published in the International Journal of Middle East Studies via Cambridge University Press. The source I quoted from was neither pro-Nation of Islam, nor an attempt to read Islamic history through the lens of their paradigm. You're making an ad hoc arbitrary excuse so as not to engage with the argument. It's a deflection tactic, smoke and mirrors. For anything I show that implicates your kindergarten theology, you'll just artificially produce the most half-baked reason to dismiss it, and I reject your ad hoc dismissal.
So you're quoting from someone from the Nation of Islam, but if we quoted Dale Tuggy, and even then that would be being generous, you would cry about it.
Says the guy who cited Tertullian just a moment ago, as well as a bunch of anonymous Orthodox randos. You gotta love the irony. And actually no, I wouldn't cry about it. That's what you're doing. I'd analyze Tuggy's arguments and refute them accordingly, like how I'm doing with you.
Now notice how deceptive one can be. Masked as someone who is a researcher in the field who actually knows what they're talking about, just to find out he's Nation of Islam. Wow, man. Wow, you got us, man. You showed us a Nation of Islam researcher who exposed us, man. Good job. Yeah, you got right on that one too.
There's no deception whatsoever in me citing an academic who's done scholarly research on a topic. That's an ad hominem fallacy that you're levying towards Dr. Williams for no reason other than the fact that you don't like him. And you can feign all the incredulity that you want, and you can cry and make all kinds of excuses so as to not engage with the scholarship. But at the end of the day, my argument still stands, and you know that. The personal beliefs of the academic are one thing, but the integrity and substance of the research is another. You're gonna have to do a lot better than absent-mindedly dismissing his insights simply because of his religion. You're not the arbiter of truth, and I'm not beholden to your arbitrary standard. No one is. You're not an academic yourself. You have no formal credentials that testify to the veracity of your knowledge, and you're also a pagan who takes this guy to be the standard of moral conduct. Bad look, dude. If you can dismiss Dr. Williams' research simply because of his religion, then by that same logic, I can dismiss your entire response to me, as well as your reading of Christianity, simply because you're a Muslim. And unlike Dr. Williams, you don't have a PhD. So if Williams should be thrown out, then how much more should we throw you out? How much more disposable, flammable, unsightly, and illusory are you and your cute little opinions by comparison? But hey, if you don't like Williams' research, let's look at a few others whose findings corroborate with his, like John Hoover, for instance. He cites Dr. Williams in his academic paper discussing Ibn Taymiyyah's, let's be nice and say, inventive theology. And Hoover notes that Williams has made genuine contributions to the scholarly literature devoted to this topic. But didn't Hoover know that Williams is part of the Nation of Islam? Oh, that's right. He didn't care, because it's irrelevant to the point being made. Maybe you should learn from him. But anyway, John Hoover characterizes the beliefs of the traditionalists like Ghulam Khalil and Hanbalis like Ibn Qudama as non-cognitivism, wherein scriptural descriptions of God's names and attributes are deemed to be entirely devoid of cognitive content. Nothing pertaining to divine location or corporeality is affirmed nor denied, and all interpretation of the meaning of God's attributes are shunned. Furthermore, intellectual effort should be devoted to understanding law as opposed to theology. Hoover notes that Hanbali non-cognitivism precludes theological reflection entirely. This is the intellectual equivalent of sticking your fingers inside of your ears and going and since this video is getting a little too long as it is, be sure to join me in part 2.